Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Our focus within the half hour is on the vulnerable community, encouraging no stereotyping and how to make an adoption application. Plus a trip to downtown Kingston to view the murals and meet some of the artists. Hello, I'm Theodore Henry. There's more, so stay with us.
Looks fun, right? Just take a second to think before you jump. It might look safe, but hidden rocks and shallow waters are real dangers. One bad jump can change everything. You can't always see what's under the surface. That's why it's never a good idea to dive into unknown waters. Always go in feet first and stay safe. I promise the thrill isn't worth the risk.
Good day, I'm Jabertha Atkinson, and this is your GIS news for Thursday, September 4, 2025. The Jamaica Labour Party JLP received majority votes in yesterday's general election, securing its position to govern Jamaica for a third consecutive term. The win is an historic victory for the JLP, as it's the first time the party has secured 3 consecutive terms in office, beginning in 2016. Preliminary results indicate that the JLP, led by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, has secured 34 seats, while the People's National Party PNP, led by Leader of the Opposition Mark Golding, has won 29. The Electoral Office of Jamaica EOJ says final counting of all ballots will begin today, September 4. This will be done for each constituency in the presence of the candidates and/or their representatives. In his victory speech, Dr. Holness reaffirmed the government's plan to respect, uphold, and strengthen Jamaica's democratic institutions while safeguarding the nation's democratic principles. Going forward, he says, the government must develop keener ears to listen to the people while addressing their needs. Dr. Holness says government remains focused on fostering inclusive prosperity and sustained economic growth for all Jamaicans. In response, Mr. Golding conceded the outcome of the election and extended congratulations to the JLP on their electoral victory. Meanwhile, results for the local government by-elections show the JLP receiving majority votes in all 3 electoral divisions. The EOJ says the overall preliminary voter turnout for the by-elections was approximately 36.1%, while just about 39.5% of voters turned out for the general election. 6 more women have been successful in their bid to enter Gordon House, increasing the number of female members of parliament to 19. Preliminary results from yesterday's general election show that 5 new female parliamentarians came from the People's National Party, while 1 was from the Jamaica Labour Party ranks. Meanwhile, 13 female members of parliament retained their seats, with 10 coming from the Jamaica Labour Party and 3 from the People's National Party. The women are from a pool of 52 females who contested the September 3 general election, a record for Jamaica. In other news, the government has signed the declaration to increase the number of forested areas under legal protection. The Forestry Department, in a release on Tuesday, says 6 parcels of forested crown lands totaling approximately 175 hectares are now formally declared as Forest Management Areas (FMA) under the Forest Act of 1996. They are among 35 parcels already proposed by the agency to be granted protection over the next few years. The new protected sites are the Greenvale Forest Management Area and the Fernhill Forest Management Area, both in Manchester. There are also the Belfont 2 Forest Management Area in St. James and the Grantsfield Forest Management Area in Portland. The others are the Hall Head and Coley Forest Management Area in St. Thomas and the Stettin Forest Management Area in Trelawney. The Forestry Department says that this latest action supports its efforts to ensure a minimum of 30% of the island's forest cover is protected and managed. Presently, approximately 48% of the island is classified as forest. forest. The agency says it continues to expend significant efforts annually to secure Jamaica's vital forest cover through additional protection of forested areas through declarations. The Jamaica National Accreditation Body, JANAC, has awarded 3 locally based laboratories the ISO IEC 17025 International Standard Accreditation. The entities are the Pharmaceutical Laboratory of the Department of Government Chemist, China Harbor Engineering Company Limited Czech Laboratory, and the Petrojam Quality Assurance Laboratory. The presentations were made under JANAC's Global Accreditation Program at the agency's 2025 CEO's Breakfast and Accreditation Awards last week. It affirms that the facilities conform to the highest global benchmarks for competence, impartiality, and operational consistency as defined by the ISO IEC 17025 standard. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce Aubin Hill underscored the significance of accreditation and emphasized the benefits to businesses.
Each of these achievements sends a powerful message. In pharmaceuticals, Department of Government Chemists accreditation means our citizens and global partners can trust the safety and quality of medicines coming from or are being sold in Jamaica. In construction and infrastructure, CHEC's laboratory accreditation means the roads, bridges, and buildings that give structure and crucial to the powering of our economy are tested reliably and built to last. In petroleum and energy, Petrojam's accreditation means our fuels meet rigorous global standards, reinforcing energy security and trade competitiveness.
JANAC is one of only 4 agencies globally recognized by the United States Food and Drug Administration, US FDA, to accredit laboratories whose certified products may enter the US market without further testing. This distinction, according to Minister Hill, will attract more investors to Jamaica. And finally, as the Atlantic hurricane season gets active, livestock farmers are being encouraged to implement measures to safeguard their animals and equipment. The call is being made by senior livestock specialist at the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, Maxine Brown. She was speaking on our current affairs program, Get the Facts. Among the recommendations is the tagging of animals or the use of temporary markers to easily identify animals if they get loose.
You also want to have a first aid kit on hand, because what you want to do, you want to make sure that after the hurricane and you're assessing your animals, if you see any cuts, any bruises, etc., you can treat it right away so that you do not have problems with screwworm or sometimes pneumonia might try to set in.
Another recommendation is to ensure the housing structure for the animals is sturdy and there's no loose zinc, which may pose a danger to farmers and animals. Farmers should also store equipment in a safe place and move animals to higher ground and cover mesh areas of fowl coop.
You also want to store extra feed and extra water for your animals.
Right.
Because you do not know when you'll be getting access to water if there's anything that is happening. So you have your tank, make sure you store water, make sure you store extra feed, but take precaution to secure the feed because you don't want the feed to get wet.
Right.
If it get wet, it can get moldy and it can cause problems with your animals as well. And you want to secure it from rodents.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Jabertha Atkinson. Thanks for watching. According to the Jamaica Public Service Company, the average cost of electricity is $65 per kilowatt hour. Earning for just 2 hours a week might seem harmless, but over a month, that adds up to 6 kilowatt hours, costing you $455. Using a curling iron for 30 minutes a day, that's 3 kilowatt hours and $195 on your monthly bill. And your hairdryer? Just 30 minutes a day racks up a shocking 45 kilowatt hours, costing you $2,925 per month. Here's a tip. Unplug grooming tools when not in use and limit usage time to save on your light bill.
Persons with disabilities should not be stereotyped by their conditions or even be identified as such. If you want to get their attention, use their rightful names.
Call me Nefishiba.
Call the person by their names if you know their names, and if you don't know their names, ask. I recall when I was growing up, disability was not a word. Most persons who had varying impairments, people used to call them, even today, I'll use this one. They call persons with one hand or 1 foot one-y. And they call persons who are deaf the D word, which I will not say. The Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the Disabilities Act push forward that you put the person first. So I know sometimes we love to say the disabled man. He is a man first and foremost. And so I know too that some members of the disability community, they don't mind. But if we want to be politically correct, just remember it's a person first.
I know many of our children and youths and even adults, they face labeling in their communities. And one of the derogatory terms that people would use to describe them is that you're retard or you're retarded. And those are terms that, emotionally, they hurt persons with intellectual disability because you're seeing the person with a condition and not the person.
I am Hanake.
They are also referred to as handicapped.
Don't call me that.
Don't call me that.
But we all know that what we refer to as a handicap is a barrier that you place. It can be a physical barrier, it can be an attitudinal barrier that you place on the person, but the person is not a handicap. Anybody with a disability is a person first. And so you address the person. Do you, the tall person? No. You would call the person by him or her, by his or her name. So address the persons by their names.
You might say that, but the person is deaf, I can't sign. Ask them, maybe they can write, or maybe they can lip it, and you figure it out together. Or if someone is in the space, they can maybe tell you, but ask. It's always nice to ask. And people who are blind are not necessarily deaf. So we do not need to shout and, scream if it's a person who is blind. They can hear and they can speak.
It's a challenge, but for most persons will find the term visually impaired acceptable. People have many ways of referring to persons who are blind, which we in the blind community will find quite derogatory, right? There are terms that people use, sometimes, the tease of the other children, for example, referring to them as bat or blind bat, or blinky, or cast eye, or those terms obviously are not acceptable terms and are not terms of endearment at all.
I recently went to a function and the question was asked in the room, what do you think, what are the words that come to mind when you hear the word deaf? And everybody, in the audience sought to say, no hearing, discriminated against, and all those kinds of words. And the deaf person said, what about champion? What about an achiever? What about a motivator? What about those positive words that we refer to others in society as? People with disabilities are those too. And so if we begin there, no, you do not have to pay money to change an attitude. An attitude is a decision. And so if Jamaicans, out of understanding that people with disabilities are people, and they have capabilities, abilities like everybody else, then I think that will be a humongous achievement, because it will then have a ripple effect on everything else that happens in society.
We are just like you. We have the same needs, we do the same things. We work, we have families, we cook, we wash, we clean, we do all the same things. We are not different. It means that when you're thinking of persons who are blind or visually impaired, think of us as, your brother, your sister. The same things that you need, the same things that you want, respect, the need for autonomy, those are the same things that we want.
I know a lot of persons might say, but that is what they are. And I would say, no, that is not what they are. The disability might be part of their person, but they are not their disability. The disability is a condition. And so all the other derogatory words that are utilized, if we put ourselves in the position, recognizing that disability is no respecter of persons, whether class or socioeconomic status, color, disability has no bias. And so in these days when we have those beautiful roads and we drive on them at high speeds and we can end up in accidents, a disability is a second away.
Your devices are important, and so is charging them safely.
Never charge your phones or your laptop in bed, or leave them charging on your sofa or on any material that is flammable. That is a risk that is too great for you to take on.
Instead, charge your devices on a hard surface and always unplug them once fully charged.
Up next, taking you step by step into the process of adopting a child.
Thank you for your interest in adoption in Jamaica. Please download the adoption guidelines below, which are intended to assist you with the completion of your application form. You are required to complete and enclose the following documents: application forms, child's medical forms, adult's medical forms, any other information relevant to your case, such as affidavits, birth certificates, death certificates, and court orders. That's the beginning of your adoption process. You're now on your way to becoming a child's legal guardian.
Adoption is a very special process. It's a very significant step that persons take in their lives, and it is very rewarding. And I would implore persons who are interested in adopting to go for it. And as I said before, go for it with an open mind. People misconceive adoption because the stigma that is attached to it, in that persons, I don't know, maybe it is a cultural thing, but persons don't willingly talk about adoption. It's mostly a secret, and you find that people go away with the wrong ideas, in that persons believe that maybe the process is too long, maybe they believe that we should not have such a rigorous process, but you have to understand it's a life commitment, and you want to ensure that a child being adopted is being placed in the best possible placement. Closed adoptions are adoptions that are basically done in Jamaica now, in that no information is given to either the adopters about the biological parents, and the biological parents don't know about the adoptive parents. The process for adopting overseas is basically very similar to the process for Jamaica, whereby you are needed to fill out the form, get the necessary supporting documents, birth certs, marriage certs. However, overseas applicants need to ensure that they have home studies, because that is the way you're going to find out about the overseas person's background. So they would have to get the services of a home service provider, especially for those in the US, and that home service provider will give them a comprehensive information about there, including police checks and everything. So they need that. And then after that process, they will submit it to us, and it will go through the regular rigorous process of identifying the birth parents, doing the necessary interview, visiting the child, getting the child's opinion, and then all of that is summarized and placed in a report along with the case file to the adoption board for approval. Persons who are allowed to adopt children in Jamaica are single male, female, couples, persons over 25 years. If you are a relative, you have to be 18 years and over. The adoption board is a body established in the Act that has to give approval for all adoption applications before they can go to the court for finalization. The adoption board is the only agency that is authorized to approve adoption cases. So there's no other agency that has that authority.
Let adoption work for you. Visit the Child Protection and Family Services Agency website at childprotection.gov.jm or visit the agency at 48 Duke Street or any of the parish's offices island-wide to learn how you can start the process.
Washing your hands properly can help keep you and others safe. Remember to wash often, especially before eating or touching your face.
Let's head on downtown Kingston to view those picturesque murals, learn of the genesis, and meet some of the artists.
After getting your fresh produce at the Coronation Market, make your way through the busy and bustling streets of downtown Kingston to the edge of the 7th largest natural harbor in the world. What you'll find is an art haven of bright, beautiful, breathtaking murals. Welcome to the Arts Page. You're in for a visual treat. Art has the power to revive, and through this, the once abandoned-looking buildings in downtown Kingston now don freshly painted murals, transforming the area into an artistic hub abuzz with admirers.
My mural depicts a representation of children in the inner city or from the inner city, from inner city communities that face challenging circumstances such as poverty, single parenting, and this shrunken ability to make positive decisions or choices. With that, the mural also depicts through the use of bright colors and the use of playful organic shapes and lines. It depicts the sense of hope and possibilities for change.
My mural is the big green mural with the women and the mushrooms. It's really about sexual coercion and sexual harassment and how these incidents can have long-lasting effects on women as they go through their lives. I kind of show that the idea with the mushrooms and how the mushrooms growing from them are like a parasite and how these issues can affect them.
Ubuntu, I am because we are. This is what I chose to depict for my new mural for Water Lane, and it really just shows the contrast and complement of Jamaica and Africa. So this mural, I wanted to show the difference just between, I guess, our mindset of how we see ourselves and who we were really called to be. So it shows your man and woman, which is your king and your queen, and then also a woman with the baby at her breast, epitomizing just the strength of a woman, and with the basket on her head, a bucket or basket of water. So water is life, woman being the life giver. But it shows even more, the great blue mountains, quote unquote, that's Jamaica, the highest peak. It goes further up, the giraffe, which most people know by now is my spirit animal, but it's also a gentle giant.
What we're trying to do is to remove that stigma and help us to see the beauty of downtown. Downtown Kingston is very, very special. It has a lot of assets through its heritage, its history.
Transforming and rebranding downtown Kingston is the mission of Kingston Creative, a non-profit arts organization.
We're founded in about 2017, and we're really centered around creative people. So our theory is that if you can empower the amount of creative people we have in Jamaica and enable them to succeed, they will then in turn employ people from their families, their communities, and together we'll get, growth in our creative economy. We'll have a healthy creative ecosystem.
You can take a stroll down Water Lane to fully experience, grasp, and get lost in the stories on the wall.
So we've partnered with the KSAC and with the Tourism Enhancement Fund and the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. And we're developing this walkway that goes east-west. It connects our National Gallery on Orange Street, and then you walk along Water Lane and it connects you back with our museums that are on East Street. So it's a natural progression. We used to just walk up and down this lane as we're going on our art walk. And then we started talking to the owners and creating these murals. And now we have about 65 new murals in downtown that we've created since 2018.
Artists and other creatives can also benefit from a creative hub and other initiatives. This includes the recently concluded Catapult program, an emergency grant for creatives.
It allowed creatives to go on an artist residency for 2 months and they were paid $3,000 US. It allowed them to put their work online and they're paid $500 US. It really was a process of giving creatives grants so they could continue creating during the pandemic. We reached over 1,210 creatives in 26 different countries across the region with this partnership with the American Friends of Jamaica. It was our biggest grant to date. We've just signed a $1.295 million US partnership with the IDB. This is a 3-year partnership to explore what happens at the intersection of creativity and technology.
Kingston Creatives is also a new member of the Global Cultural Districts Network and is listed among others such as Paris, London, and Dubai. Thanks to the efforts and partnership of Kingston Creative, downtown Kingston is well on its way to become a vibrant art district and a space for people to really enjoy our rich culture.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Join us again tomorrow when we bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via X at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's both Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the production crew, I'm Theodore Henry. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.